All right, we're getting word of air sirens going off in Tel Aviv, among some other Jewish cities here, Israeli cities, that the Iranian missile strike is on. We don't know much more than that. It was expected that it was going to be imminent, and apparently missiles have been launched from Iran. Don't know how long they would take to reach any of the key cities, including Tel Aviv and Israel. It's quite a long ways, as we can remember from last spring when that attack was on. We've got Dana Pittard joining us right now, the retired U.S. Army general, author, Hunting the Caliphate, America's War on ISIS and the Dawn of the Strike Cell. He's just the person I want to talk to right now. So, General, it's on. We know the last time Iran was doing this, it fired off more than 300 missiles. I believe only one quasi-hit a target, and that just sort of shattered in a field, if memory serves me right. I don't know how many are involved here, how many ultimately will be involved here. What do you think?
Well, good afternoon, Neil. Iran feels like they have to respond because of Israel's incursion into southern Lebanon, their limited attack, and also the destruction and decimation of the Hezbollah leadership, senior leadership. So this is something Iran feels like they need to do. Not sure it's going to be at the scale that we saw in April, 300 missiles and rockets and drones being fired from Iran. Ideally, this will be something that Israel and the U.S. and its allies in the region can handle, but we will see.
So we obviously were warning the Israelis from the intelligence that we had that an attack like this was imminent. We also know that it's a delicate balance for Iran and how it responds. Everyone's concerned about a widening war. This on the same day, we're learning that Israel continues to take out Hezbollah bigwigs or those who provide arms to them. So that's continuing. So they're working on parallel tracks here.
Yes, in fact, this is a unique opportunity for Israel to really hit Hezbollah and hit Hezbollah hard and create a buffer zone in southern Lebanon to protect the Israeli northern towns where almost 70,000 people have evacuated. So Israel is pursuing this aggressively and is being successful, but what they're trying to do is just stabilize their border in the north. And as you also know, Hezbollah has been firing missiles with impunity since the day after October 7th, since October 8th of last year, while Israel's been preoccupied with operations in Gaza. Well, now Israel is able to release some resources and go north and really take care of the Hezbollah issue.
Now what happens when it comes to those Iran is going to look to for help? It might look to Russia, it might look to China, it might look for other players. Obviously, it's doing this to satisfy some of those proxies who might be demanding that Iran do something in response. That's a very weird, delicate balance, right?
Well, yes. And Iran is already looking to China and Russia for support in many ways. Iran's strategy of this ring of fire around Israel, if you look at Hezbollah to the north, the Syrians to the northeast, the Iraqi Shia in Iraq, Hamas in Gaza to the south, and way south, the Houthis. They were surrounding Israel with this ring of fire. But that's unraveling with their proxies right now. So Iran has to look at a new strategy, or maybe it's time for Iran to sue for peace with both Saudi Arabia and Israel.
How likely do you think that is? Both sides, want to, flex their muscle of this. Israel seems to be, on the offense here, and Iran is in that odd position of not wanting to cower, but very much cowering. Well,
it's because Israel has been very aggressive. They've gotten into the decision-making cycle of both the Iranians and, of course, Hezbollah. Iran is not ready for a conflict right now. So they're going to try to buy time. But it may be a unique opportunity when the dust settles somewhat to have maybe looking at more of a peace agreement between Sunni Saudi Arabia and Shia Muslim Iran, and also include Israel on that. It may be a unique opportunity to do that when this dust settles.
You know, General, if you'll excuse my ignorance, that's why I ask you so many dumb questions. This ballistic missile attack, launching it from Iran to key points in Israel, let's say Tel Aviv, it's going to take a little while, right? It
is. And in fact, in many ways, this is part of the issue with Iran. They feel like they must do this. They're pressured to respond, but it's not going to be that effective because they're telegraphing it and everybody knows it's coming.
And you know, General, as you were speaking here, we're getting confirmation of Yemen Houthi rebels picking up their attacks on U.S. and Western shipping interests in and around the Gulf. Of course, that was already the case. So let's say they continue doing that. We got Hezbollah, even though on the run, promising attacks of its own. Hamas, badly, outmanned and now with fewer men, in control. They're going to coordinate something. Then the issue is, how far does this go? What do you think?
Well, obviously, there's always that threat of a wider conflict. I mean, the U.S. is being prudent by keeping the USS Abraham Lincoln in the region, as well as the USS Harry S. Truman carrier battle groups, as an example, and more forces too, as far as just being prudent. But the Houthis should feel a little bit tough right now in that they're in a position to where they may be next. I mean, they're trying to fire at U.S. ships, at shipping. That's an issue. The world is going to have to figure out something with the Houthis.
You know, General, when I look at this, and of course, Israel has this Iron Dome. It can, counter all of these missiles as it did. I think a little bit more than 300 launched in the last Iranian attack. Virtually all but one of them were destroyed by Israel, and the one that got through landed, I believe, in a field with very little damage. So there is the issue of how much that dome can resist and counter if the strike is dramatically bigger, if it's more than 300 missiles like last time, if it's 600, if others participate, then it gets to be a real test for this unusual global defense, right?
Yes, in fact, the Iron Dome can be overwhelmed with a certain amount of volume of missiles. Remember, even in April, it wasn't just Israel that fought off those missiles. It was Israel with the help of the U.S. and allies in the region that helped defeat those missiles, those rockets, those drones.
So, General, your take on what we do. Now, apparently there's been a tad more coordination than there was compared to these Israeli-launched missile strikes on Hezbollah positions over the weekend, but not much. And it's Israel doing this, leading all of this, and acting on its own without necessarily much consultation with the United States. What did you make of it?
Actually, I think there's been a lot of consultation with the United States, especially the intelligence community, in helping Q and helping Israel to target different aspects of this operation. The U.S. might not have known about the actual strike on Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, but the U.S. has been involved from a consultation standpoint, intelligence standpoint, in most of the Israeli operations.
All right, General, if you can stay there, Iran has confirmed it has launched missiles toward Israel. The Israeli military confirming, as you can hear from these sirens, that missiles have been launched. We just don't know how many. The U.S. had seen, to the General's point, indications that Iran was preparing for such a launch and that it would be imminent. And now, as I just said, it is on. We just don't know how many missiles are involved.